Hey, let me fix my lighting a little bit. I don't know if that's better for you guys. I find that when I hit the little light button, it only works for me and it doesn't actually show up for anybody else. But then, um, hi, I'm here to do my musings that I usually do on Wednesdays that yesterday just did not allow me the time. And funny enough, I have like 12 minutes today, so it will also be short. But I realized if I didn't do it today, it like literally wasn't going to happen, and we were just gonna miss the whole week because I have a Talk to the Entities class that I'm hosting tomorrow, and that's all weekend, and Sunday's Halloween, and all the things. Hey, good morning, Farisa. How are you? Oh, thank you. It's raining here, and I just feel like so like bleh from all the rain. So thank you. That makes my day. Yeah, so I was like, all right, I'll come in here and do a quick musing. So this is kind of a quick and dirty musings today. And that's okay because that's just what we have time for right now. And I wanted to talk a little bit about need and tug and like the difference of the energy of need versus needy, which is such a like little distinction, but it makes all the difference in the world. And I just did 5 days of a money challenge. I'm trying to remember what I called it. It was what's the worst that could happen if you stopped avoiding money? It was the name of that challenge. And it's now up on YouTube and in my Money Party group. So you can find it in either of those places. And I can post the link for that below when we're done. And it was so fun, and it just kind of brought up all of these energies of like having play and fun with money and ways to invite money into our lives. And one of the conversations that came up somewhere in there was the difference between like when you need money for something, the difference between like when you're doing this needy thing with it versus when you have a need for something in your world, but you don't have an energetic charge on it, and it can actually show up. And we understand this concept when we look at 100 other things in the world, but when it comes to money, it's like it eludes most of us. So the example I often use is if we look at relationship or we look at somebody that you have a romantic interest in, as soon as you're like, oh my God, I like you so much. You're so amazing. Like, I want to hang out with you all the time. And can we like have dinner tonight and tomorrow night? And can we sit on the phone like with each other all day, every day? And I just need you in my life, and I need to cry to you, and I need to like have you like as mine all the time. What does that generally do? It pushes the other person away because it's a lot. It's too much, and it's this energy of neediness. And most of us kind of understand that, although I have to have that conversation with people quite a bit still, that when you start going into like, I need you for this and I need you for that and I need you to be at my beck and call and to answer my phone calls all the time, and like that pushes people away. And even if you do that in friendship or kind of in any relationship, it makes the other person go like, whoa, that's a lot. I don't know what to do with you. Because they feel like they're needed in like this needy way, and it's not comfortable or fun or joyful for them. But if you're like, hey, what's up? Yeah, you're cool. You know, you want to hang out Saturday? Great. And if they're, you know, it has a different energy than that, like all the time, I need this, I need this, I need this from you. And it actually like is more interesting and intriguing to the other person. And more so, even if you don't have a point of view about like, if they're like, oh no, I'm not available Saturday. And so I'd be like, but I was planning my whole weekend around you. Instead, if you're like, all right, well, cool. When do you want to hang out next? Totally different energy. So when you take that and move that to money, where are you doing needy with money? Where are you doing, I have to have you right now, all the time in my world? And it isn't the same as like having a demand. It's one thing to have this demand to be like, no, this changes now. What do I need to be to have more money in my world? Is a different energy than like, I have this bill I have to pay and I'm freaking out and I need it and I need the money and I need the money now and I don't know where the money's coming from and I need the money. It tends to actually have this repellent effect where the money actually kind of doesn't come towards you. It's like when you have like the back of the magnets trying to like, it can't actually come to you. But if you have a different point of view of like, hey, yeah, I do need money to pay this thing. I wonder what it would take to have it. Is the need, as the need and tug of like, yes, I have this need for something. What is it going to take for it to show up? And to kind of like expand rather than going into this contraction of I need it now, instead you go into this like expansion of like, okay, like, yeah, I need money to pay for this thing. Cool. So what's that going to take? And kind of like, not necessarily forgetting about it, but sort of just like letting it go. And you may find that there's times in your life where you had an awareness that like you needed something, you asked for something, you had a desire for something, and you kind of put it out to the universe. And then you kind of like forgot about it. You might have been like, oh, that's a really cool car. I wonder what it would take to have that. And then you kind of just like went on with your day. And maybe next year, maybe 3 years later, that showed back up. Gary talks about like a carpet that he really wanted. It was like, a carpet. It was like a beautiful Victorian rug of some kind, or Moroccan rug. Carpet is probably the wrong word. Don't mind me. But, it was like this expensive thing that he really wanted. And he was like, oh, that's too much. All right, we're just not going to do that today. And he like walked away. And years later, those same kind of rugs showed up for much less money and was able to buy it with ease. And he was like, oh, I did put that out into the world years ago when I was like, oh, I'd love to have that. And now's not the time, and just let it go. And it came back. So anytime that like, there's things that like, you're like, oh, I need to have that in my life. That's like that need. And then you energetically are tugging it in. You're pulling it into you from the energy of asking the question, putting it out there, and then sort of like expanding and like letting off basically. And sort of just like, allowing the universe to do what it does to rearrange the molecules to bring that into your world. And it might show up tomorrow, but it might not show up. And so, or for, a week or a year, but it'll show up eventually, or it won't show up the way you think it's going to. So, I forget what the car was. There was a car at one point that Dane, as a child, had promised his mom that like someday, like, I'm going to buy you this car. And he ended up buying her, like more recently, I don't know, in the last few years, a also luxury car. But it wasn't the exact same car he had pictured in his head when he was a little kid, because cars have changed in 20 years, 30 years. And, what she wanted now is something different, but it still showed up, and he still like was able to do the thing he had said when he was a kid. It just didn't look exactly like it did then. And so be willing to acknowledge that the universe knows what it's doing. And so when you ask like for a question of like, hey, what would it take to have this in my life? Then let it kind of be, and it will show up. And it may not look exactly like you think it's going to, and it might, and it may not show up in the time that you think it's going to, but it still will. So where is it in your life that with money, you're doing like this, or anything actually? I guess money is the topic on my mind because we start energy polls with money on Sunday. But I mean, even with relationships, even with friendships, even with like a job you're trying to get or something you're trying to like do in your life, but anywhere you're going into this like neediness of it, be aware of that energy and just bring that up. And anywhere I'm doing needy here, destroy and uncreate it, right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And what else could I be with this energy? And where could I choose to do need and tug here rather than doing this neediness that is actually pulling it or pushing it away? And how can I be the pull and the invitation instead of the push? So that's a conversation I've had with a lot of people, ironically around dating. There is this interesting connection between like dating and money. I don't know what that is, but this comes up a lot, but it's an easy way to look at it. And so if you are like, okay, like if money was somebody I was trying to date, would they want to date me with the way I'm being with it? Like that's like such a fun way of looking at that. So, if like where people are doing push, like the same idea of the neediness, like calling all the time and needing to like, you're like pushing energy at somebody. Think of like a used car salesman, where they're like pushing energy at you. They're trying to sell you something. They're trying to sell you something. Versus when you're being the pull is when you're like, I don't care, buy it, don't buy it. This is an amazing vehicle. I don't know if, you actually could have it in your world and you don't have any kind of push on it. Like if you're irreverent with it, then people are way more likely to be like, wait, what? Because it throws people off. But that works with money too. If you're like, hey, what would it take? Oh, so cool. Parisa said, wow, I've never thought about it that way. I've been way too needy with money. Yeah, me too. I've certainly spent so much of my life being like, oh my gosh, like I need money right now. And then I'm like, why is money not showing up? But it's like from that like needy space where if it's like, okay, cool, what could I create if I wasn't worried about the money, but I was more worried about if I was more interested in the magic of it. And I think about this a lot with like access classes I'm doing, or like even with like clients I see individually, or kind of anything that like brings in money. It's like, okay, well, what am I actually creating here? And what if I did it for the joy of it and the fun of it and what magic is being created in the world, and trust that the money will follow. And that isn't from this like point of view of like, oh, I do good in the world, so therefore I don't need money. Like people do this superior point of view with money a lot, where they're like also pushes money away because they're like, well, I don't need money. And then money's like, okay, fine, you know. So then it doesn't work either. But if you're just like, hey, money, it would be so awesome if you'd come play with me, and I'm gonna go into the world and create magic and do the things I want to do anyways, and I trust that you'll follow because you're gonna want to come play because I'm fun. Does that make sense? Oh my goodness, I realize how much I want to say on this topic. So good thing I have the energy pulse starting on Sunday because I'm out of time here now. I'm like aware I need to be on my computer right now on a virtual visit. But we start Quick Ease with Money energy pulls on Sunday. 2 weeks of daily energy pulls. They'll be quick. I like my quick energy pulls. I tried to keep it under 10 last time. It didn't quite work. They'll probably be about 15 minutes. Probably somewhere between 12 and 15 minutes. But I love that. You get in, you get out, you pull and pull and pull, and then go out into the world and just pull money in like crazy. And it's so much freaking magic. So I would absolutely love you to join me. And that starts Sunday on Halloween in the morning. And we'll go for 2 weeks. And then I have a foundation starting next week, a week from tomorrow, so next Friday. And How to Become Money Workbook, 10-week adventure start, which is like a once a week call for 10 weeks, starting the following week. So go to my website. It's drmelissamann.com. Mann is M-A-H-O-N. And you can check out all the upcoming events and things we have going on. And otherwise, I will be here next week on Wednesday. I realize today's Thursday, but next Wednesday with another musings. I will see you later. Thank you. Bye-bye.